Hello, everyone. I am MrGamingGuitarist, and the four-night Heroes vs. Aliens crossover just ended. And, okay, I have to say, after being so shocked with how impressed I was with Arrow's finale, I mean, not finale, with Arrow's 100th episode yesterday, unexpectedly just blowing my mind nonstop. This episode set some extremely high standards for me, and overall, I want to be honest, I thoroughly enjoyed seeing this episode. Do not get me wrong at all. I loved it. But I will say I preferred, if I had to pick a winner of all four crossover episodes, it would have to be last night's episode of Arrow. But other than that, there was a lot of really good stuff that happened in this episode. So of course, full spoilers if you haven't seen this episode of Legends of Tomorrow, the conclusion to the four-night crossover. I believe this is season 2, episode 8? No, this is episode 6 or 7 or something like that. I don't remember, but this episode is titled Invasion, just like the previous Flash and Arrow episodes. But anyway, I will go through the episode and tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about it. Now, I will say, for someone to go time traveling, for the non-Legends people that actually, time traveled, I wish that it was someone other than Felicity and Cisco. I wish we could have gotten to see it could have been Oliver, or I wish it could have been, Oliver or Kara or someone that could travel through time. But I guess what it did was it set up an important lesson. The time having Cisco there, it was good because Felicity got to set him straight. She got to set his ass straight. She got to pretty much told him to cool his ass down, and it kind of put him in Barry's shoes and kind of made him feel empathy for what happened, because he brought that Dominator communication device with him to the screen, to the what the hell was it? He brought it with him to the way back to the Wave Rider and back to 2016, and now the Dominators want Barry to sacrifice himself in order to not stop the Earth. So that was good. So I'm glad that it set Cisco straight. Now, I still don't know exactly where they are between Cisco and Barry's relationship, but it looks like it's on the path for it to being somewhat close to normal again, because I hate moody Cisco acting like a bitch a lot of the time. That's exactly why I couldn't stand a lot of Felicity during season 3 and season 4 of Arrow, and that's why I couldn't stand Laurel during a lot of season 2 of Arrow. It's like that same thing is now going through Cisco, and the writers need to write that shit out of his system. So I'm glad it's on the path to being corrected. So what else do I have to say for this episode? I've really enjoyed because if I had to narrow it down through what happened in this episode, it definitely has to be I preferred the character interactions and the conversations they had with each other more than the fight scenes with the Dominators. Because, hey, don't get me wrong, the fight scenes with the Dominators was fucking awesome. Okay, that was great. on the rooftop, with just seeing all of them charge and fighting each other. That was good. And but I would say the stuff with how they handled the Dominator storyline, it felt, I don't know, but it felt a bit rushed. Like, oh, that's it. They already fought them. They finished them off. They let them all retreat already. That was, to me personally, it felt a little too quick. But on the other hand, we got some really, but it was a trade-off, I'd say, for the really great scenes that we got between everyone. Like at first, Oliver wanted to keep his distance away from Kara, but then, during that fight, she saved him from falling. And then but don't you just wish just a little bit that at the end there, when the president was was saying these people behind me are heroes, didn't you wish that she could have called? I know it was never going to happen, but don't you just wish she could have said, "This is the Justice League" or something like that? I don't know. I was, my nerdy ass brain wanted that very badly to happen. But I also thought it was funny when Mick was telling Sarah, "Don't you think the president is hot?" And then she just leans over and says, "Yeah, she is." And what else did I think was really good? I liked how Kara just wanted to group hug Oliver and Barry, and then Oliver was like, I don't know, but then they went ahead and did it. Okay, one other thing to mention. I really enjoyed the scenes between Martin and his daughter. At first, he felt very reluctant. He didn't want to spend any time with her. And, that shit was harsh what he was saying to Caitlin, how he told her, I want to take her, I want to pretty much erase her from the timeline, even though that's not what he said. He says, I want to fix the timeline by simply erasing her from existence. And it wasn't until the very end when, before they could come up with that weapon to bring pain to the Dominators, and before they could make what seemed like thousands of them, it was in that moment when he discovered, how brilliant she is, and how he realizes, oh shit, this really is my daughter. It would be a big mistake to get rid of her. And so I'm glad that he has accepted that he has a daughter now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to continue on. Maybe she can join Star Labs for future Flash episodes. Maybe I forget what her name. Her name's Lily. That's what it was. Yeah, Lily Martin. Okay, so anything else that I want to mention? I thought that the scenes. I really liked how when they were saying goodbye to everyone. I enjoyed how Mick just walks in between Ray and Kara and just tells her, "Call me." That's such a Mick thing to do. It's so funny. But the other thing, I'm glad that they mentioned that, because I was saying earlier on the N4G TV podcast when I was talking about this crossover, I really wanted them to acknowledge that, hey, that Ray used to, that Ray, who is played by Brandon Routh, used to be Superman in Superman Returns. So it would be funny to have some sort of acknowledgement with her and Supergirl, and I love that that Ray just says, "Doesn't she look? She looks just like my cousin." I'm glad that they snuck that little Easter egg in there. I just enjoyed that. What else? What else do I want? Okay, I really like that scene when Oliver and Sarah were talking, and how they said it feels like it all started with just the two of us. Now look at where we've become. And then they hugged. And I love when she's walking away. Diggle just says, there she is walking off to her definitely normal spaceship. But yeah, anytime, I'm such a sucker anytime we see these shows crossover, it's always such a fucking delight for my eyes and ears. Um, and that's just who I am. I just love crossovers and team ups. That's why I love that's why I'm always get hyped for an Avengers movie, and that's why I'm hyped for the Justice League movie, because I just love a nice team up. But what else? Oh, okay. And that guy, I don't know who it was. Was that like the secretary of for Secretary of Defense, or that guy that was there in the 50s, who knew the old guy that knew that Barry was the Flash, talking about how him going to the past messed up their relationship with the Dominators. I really liked how Kara just walks up to him, and he just says, how he just walks up to, okay, man, I can't talk. I'm still too hyped. How she just walks up to him and says, I told the president to start a DEO in this universe, and she really liked the idea of you being relocated to Antarctica, and she just gives him the biggest fucking smile and just walks away. It's just little moments like that make me love Supergirl so much. But anyways, but the most important thing of all, I love that the episode ends with Oliver and Barry having a drink together. It sort of reminds me of how a movie would begin and end with Superman and Batman. How the last scene would be the two of them together in like a Justice League comic or something. It's just so good, and it's so symbolic that this whole universe began with Oliver and Barry, and them just reflecting back and toasting to not normal. So while I do think that the Dominator storyline was rushed in the end, I think it was worth it just to see all those nice conversations between all of our heroes. So overall, I give this episode a 9 out of 10. Yesterday's episode of Arrow, a 100 out of 10. The episode of The Flash was a 9.5, and Supergirl is a 9. For this week, for the crossovers, even though Barry and Cisco only showed up at the very end of Supergirl. But anyways, the CW counts it, so I wanted to give my rating for that. But overall, this was the greatest crossover I've ever seen. The fact that it was 4 shows and they got it done, I loved it so much. And boy, oh boy, how the fuck are they going to top it with next year's crossover? Oh man, that was going to be such, oh boy. I do not envy Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg, and the rest of the producers. How are they going to pull it off next year again? I don't even know. I can't even think about it, but I'm happy that we got this crossover. I'm very satisfied with what we got, and I will see you next week for when I review the mid-season finales of Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, because I believe that this week's Supergirl was the mid-season finale. But anyways, see you then. Anyways, I'll see you next time. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. You can support the channel on Patreon. I'd appreciate it. And you can watch me on the N4GTV podcast on the N4GTV YouTube channel. Links to those will all be in the description. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.